A business plan is so important for so many different reasons, especially when it comes to getting the best funding for your business. I mean, the longest terms and the lowest interest rates. In today's training, we're going to talk about what business plans are, exactly how they work, and all the components that you need to have in a good business plan. Don't worry, these things are much simpler than you think they are to create. And by the end of this training, you're going to know exactly how to put one together to help in a lot of different aspects of your business, including getting funding. So let's dive in. Let's talk more. So why do you need a business plan? Well, according to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, one of the cornerstones of launching a new business is writing a business plan. The plan is a roadmap to a business's goals and outlines the steps needed to achieve them. Now, the plan also serves as sort of a resume to put in front of loan officers, investors, partners to secure funding. A lot of reasons that you want to have a business plan, one of which is getting money. Now, there's a lot of money nowadays through fintech lenders, online marketplaces, business credit sources that don't need business plans. But the best kind of funding you're going to get, like SBA loans, where you get 20, 30-year loan terms and 5, 6, 7% interest rates, do require business plans. So definitely one reason. But I also find that it's kind of your guide of everything you need to know to run your business. It's your demographic information. It's your competition. It's your marketing strategy. It's your budget. All the basic things that you need to deploy, start, and then run your business all come by having a business plan. So it really kind of puts you on the right course with guiding your business in the right direction. So every traditional lender wants one, and by traditional, I mean conventional banks, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo. These big conventional banks are going to require this because they're basically issuing you loans that come from SBA. If you want a potential investor, if you want a venture capitalist, if you want an angel investor, if you want somebody to give you money in exchange for equity ownership in your business, they're going to want one as well. Okay, and it's really also a vital piece of communication with management as well. Again, what I found is this. You might not need a formal structured business plan to run your business or to get it off the ground. As a matter of fact, I've started plenty of businesses with no business plan and got them off the ground and made them very successful. But businesses operate better if you know the exact direction you're heading, what your goals are. Okay, and I find that building an 8-figure business, I found that a lot of the problems I run into and where I get stumped is because I've lost sight of the goal. I've lost sight of where I'm going. And once I bring myself back and say, where am I going? What's the goal here? And then I get right on track, it's easier to solve the problem. It's another huge reason you need a business plan. It helps you and the team that works with you understand where you're going, how you're going to get there, and that you clearly understand the potential obstacles that are in your way and how you plan on overcoming those obstacles. And Chili, thanks for coming in. Good afternoon from Facebook. So if you want to sell your business or you need a business valuation, you're going to need a business plan. Beyond all that, you need a plan to follow for your business anyways, as I mentioned. And there's a specific format, really, that you're going to want to follow to be able to have everything in that plan that you need. And again, as I mentioned, some business loan applications even have a place for this, whether or not you do have a business plan or not. And even if you don't, or even if you do and it doesn't ask for this, being able to supply this to an investor that's providing venture capital or an SBA lender or a lender just makes you look better. I mean, you're not even given a choice with SBA. You have to have this. You just don't get SBA loans. So how do you create one? Well, there's a couple of options. You can hire a business plan writer, or you can do it yourself. There's a lot of good resources out there that can help you do it yourself. We've even had somebody on our podcast before that has technology that can help you with this as well. So there's a lot of easy ways that you could build business plans. There's a lot of tech out there that can help you with this that's ridiculously cheap, like less than $100 for you to be able to do it. So you can either do it on your own following what I'm going to teach you today. You don't need to buy any tech or anything. I'm going to teach you exactly what needs to be in a business plan so you can create it on your own. But you can also use a lot of other tech resources out there, online sources that can help you as well. Now, as I mentioned, SBA offers extensive guidance in this area as well. They know you need a business plan to be able to get their loans. So they have a lot of help that they can provide. Also, places like SCORE can further help you with developing a business plan as well. So you can do this on your own. You're going to use the information from today. I'm going to teach you all the way through, even to the very end, the most important stuff that's in a business plan. You'll know how to put it together. And if you want outside help, you can bring in SBA, you can bring in SCORE, you can bring in those kind of authorities to help you as well. And again, it's important. The important thing is to make sure that all the necessary information is included, whether you use an online technical solution to help you with this, whether you use SBA, whether you SCORE, whether you just use the training we're going to go over today. Just make sure that you have these essentials in the business plan. As long as you have it, it doesn't matter how you end up getting it set up. And Nehemiah says, very good information. Thanks, I appreciate that. And Lil Netta says, hello, can you please point me in the right direction to a CPA for real estate investing? It's hard for me because it's depending on state. We have used before a company called Kahuna, Khuna, Kahuna Accounting. I love Kahuna. They did a very good job for us getting started. They deal with a lot of real estate investors. They deal with a lot of attorneys. So that could be a source. But again, a lot of CPAs and accountants you may use are dependent on your state. But that's definitely a good place to check is Kahuna Accounting. So hopefully that helps you out there. Lilmeta. Sorry, I pronounced that wrong. I actually looked at the wrong person. So what information in what order? Well, first there's an introduction. Then there's a research section. After that comes the financial information. And finally, even though it's not required, you have an appendix with additional information. This is some of it, but we'll dive in. I'll actually give you a lot more of the specifics of what you need. So the first start is the introduction. Now, this is going to include your executive summary, your description, your strategies. We're going to talk about all these. Don't worry, we're going to break these down. So the executive summary is complete summary of the business idea. A description goes into further detail in the summary. It describes the business, what type of business it is, what product or service are you going to offer. Is there where you work to get others excited? This is where you work to basically get others excited about what's going on and catch their attention. So this is your overview. Here's what we do. Here's what kind of business we have. Here's the problem we solve. Here's how big the problem is, right? So for example, when I'm putting together, hey, we're in the business of helping companies get business credit financing, and we solve a pretty big problem because, more than half of business owners are kept up at night. And then I'm rolling into some statistics about the actual problem that we solve. And we, again, talk about how big that problem is. Hey, there's 600,000 new businesses in the United States that exist. There's over 30 million businesses now on top of the 600,000 new. So here's kind of an idea of the market that we serve and how big the problem is. And then how you're going to solve the problem. It's the easiest way to look at this. What type of business it is, kind of what you do and what the problem you're going to solve, and what products or service you offer. How are you going to help solve that problem? Those are the kind of things that we really want to make sure are included in that introduction. And again, we're diving into the strategies here. The strategy section lays out your plan. Do you have a marketing plan? Where will you locate? How many employees are you going to start with? What's your ramp up plan? How are you going to get things going in the business? What is your strategy to be able to grow the actual business? So do you have a marketing plan? So when we look at, for example, our pitch deck, when we raise venture capital, then we come in and we have these things. Hey, here's how we market. We market on Google. We market on Facebook. Here's our strategies. We use organic Facebook and LinkedIn, and we also do live streaming. All those kind of things are in our marketing strategy of how we're actually going to grow the business. Then we look at where will you be located. Credit Suite, we're virtual. We used to have 2 offices, and through COVID, we closed them both because we realized what a lot of people realize. Our team works better from home, and we have a lot more liability if all of our sales team are in one office, right? One gets sick, they take out everybody. So that scared us like it scared a lot of people. So now we're virtual. And so now when we're putting together a business plan, we say that, hey, look, we're virtual. Our team is located in these states. We're all over the country. Here's how our model operates. So again, or if you're just starting a business, how it will operate. How many employees are you going to start with? And what are those people are going to do? You actually really want to get into, your executive summary here has to do with you. What's your role? What's your experience? What's your resume? That's not as much needed in a business plan because you're constructing the business plan. But if you ever go to raise venture capital, they're going to want to know more about you. They're going to want to see who the people are in the business and what roles they're going to play. So that's exactly what you want to figure out. How many people are going to be in this business? What are they going to do? And how much is it going to cost to employ all of them? Now, I'm going to give you a huge tip. One of the most valuable tips I could ever give a business starting out is this is where you really need to consider using virtual assistants. There's places like Upwork, 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 where you can hire virtual assistants from places like the Philippines for $4 or $5 an hour. And I remember when we started Credit Suite, my COO and business partner, Megan, would say, hey, we need to hire these people at $15, $20 an hour. I'm like, you're crazy. Like, we don't have the money to hire people at $15, $20 an hour for those roles. Let's hire a VA from the Philippines for $4 or $5. She thought that was crazy, was not exposed to it. Now I look at where we are today. We have at least 25 full-time people from the Philippines that work within our company, helping in all different kind of aspects of the company, meaning that it helped us scale because we were able to get the support that we needed very cheap, like $4 or $5 an hour. We could do that. But as a startup, trying to hire $15, $20 an hour was really hard. So I'm going to give you that piece of advice because as you build a business, what you realize is you only have time. You don't have a lot of money. Then your time gets eaten up doing all these things. Then you run out of time and the business just plateaus. It can't grow until you free up more time to think about strategies to be able to grow the business. So how you do that is you have to get people like VAs to come in, take some of that load, give them instructions, all the tasks you've taken on. As you start to make money, then it's cheap, then you start to move tasks off, then you can increase revenue and get yourself to a point where it's, where you're actually coming in and you're doing a lot more volume and a lot more revenue. Okay. And Camilla says this is going to be important. Yeah, I think so. And Watch Out Media says you're awesome. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And Marilyn says, can you give a list of tech for a business plan? You can. I don't have a list of tech, but I will try while I'm here to dive in to who was on my podcast about this, because I remember I had somebody on my podcast. So I will try to get that information before we wrap up. And Juan says, hello, Ty, can I email you and ask for some other questions outside the video? Sure. Feel free. info@creditsuite.com. And Jose says, hello, this is what time needs to get done for my business. Good. Get info on video. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's dive in and talk a little bit more. And then I will try to get you an example of the tech. There's only one source unique, so they're super cheap, but I'm not sure about them off the top of my head. I will try to figure that out. I will try to think through that. It's not live lead, but something like that. Anyways, so what's your ramp up plan? What's your goal to get going? What is your initial revenue going to be? What do you expect the revenue to be in a month, 6 months, a year? How do you expect to ramp that up? Well, again, we talked about your marketing strategy. You're going to get leads from Facebook and Google, but we didn't talk about how you're going to ramp that up, what your strategy is actually going to be. So for example, with Credit Suite, well, our ramp up strategy from the beginning was to create an email funnel, a funnel that provides valuable education and information through email. And then we're going to create guides, free guides and reports that help give people valuable information that when they enroll, then they go into our email funnel. And then we're going to promote those guides on places like Facebook and Google Ads. That's our general marketing plan. And we're going to ramp it up by then testing our ads on Facebook and Google and increasing our ad spend to push more people into our funnel. That's how we ramp it up. Then as we start to get people more into our funnel, then we have a setter from the Philippines call those people and then set an appointment to get them to our sales team. So that's a marketing plan, and that's how we ramp that up to take that to the next level. That's an example of what they're going to want to see. So research is the next section here. After the introduction comes the research portion of the business plan. It's also called the market analysis. It has two parts: analysis of audience and competitive analysis. Okay, so let's dive into both of those. The analysis of audience answers the following questions. What need will your business be and for who? For example, are you a childcare facility filling a need for affordable childcare for working moms? Are you an eatery, filling a need for lunch spot for those working downtown? Then how will your business plan fill that need? Okay, so again, what we're talking about here is, first of all, this really is also well known, and I'm going to try to pull something up here real quick to see if I can give you an example of this. But this is also well known as demographic information. It can also be your avatar. Now, given, when you start a business, you might not have a really good, grasp on your avatar. As a matter of fact, I found one of the best ways to understand who your audience really is to start running ads on Facebook, start running, putting videos on YouTube. Because places like Facebook and YouTube, they will show you who your audience is. So even if you don't know who your audience is, if you start running ads on Facebook, Facebook is going to say, hey, 75% of your ads were clicked by males, 25% females. YouTube's like, hey, 75% of your videos were looked at by males, 25% were looked at by females. Well, you quickly are getting an understanding then that Facebook and YouTube are saying, I'm showing this content to everybody, and men are 75% of who responds. In that example, well, then men are the primary people that you're targeting in that demographic. Okay, it's also exactly the same when we talk about age, when we talk about those kind of things as well. So when we talk about age, when we talk about where they're located, all of these kind of things come in. So here's an example of our avatar, and this is a short version. Our real avatar is about 5 pages long, but you can see our prospects are usually middle-aged men, averaging 44 years in age, with credit scores of about 613. And you can see here's the industries that they're most common from. Here's the states that they're most common from. Okay, they don't know much about business credit now and have tried to build business credit, failed. About 2/3 have come to us directly to help them get credit. So you get an idea here. They're looking for money for these reasons. Most of them, the biggest pain point is not having the money and funds they need to start and grow. Okay, here's what keeps our customers up in their own words per surveys. So this is a customer avatar. This is us understanding the age, where our customer lives, the industries that they're in. Now, we got that because we survey people, and that's a good thing for you to do as well. Once you start to build an audience, then throw a survey in the beginning part of your email funnel like we do, And we have thousands of people now that have filled out that survey. So we really understand our customer avatar because thousands of people have filled out these questions and answered questions to us about themselves. But until you know that, then you really want to start with YouTube. You want to start with Facebook. And on these social platforms, they'll tell you who's engaging with your ads, who's engaging with your content. That'll help you backwards figure out more in depth who your audience is. But you at least should have a general idea in your business plan of who your audience is, like these examples, okay? You're a childcare facility, you're looking for working moms, right? That's just a simple example, but you could drill it down very in depth. If you got them in, then how will your business fill that need? What are you going to do to serve that audience? So for example, there's a reason that we're not on Pinterest because we serve a lot of women entrepreneurs, but the majority of our clients are men. So Pinterest isn't the social channel for us to live when that's not where our entrepreneur lives. That's why you need a business plan. When you better understand your demographic and your avatar, you can make smarter choices. You're not trying to advertise on every social channel. You're not trying to manage every social channel. You can go and manage the channels that house where your actual demographic is. And again, beyond that, if you get them to bite with the description, this is where you really set the hook. So again, this really comes down to understanding who your audience is. You also need to understand who your competition is. The competitive analysis is just what it sounds like. It's a look into your competition. Is there already a business working to fill this need? Is there room for more? How do you plan to compete with them? This is exactly the same with venture capitalists. Angel investors and venture capitalists want to know the same information. And if you've ever watched Shark Tank, you know it drives them crazy when you say you have no competition, because everybody has competition in some which way or right. Very rarely. So for example, Uber, there's nobody that was doing what Uber did, but Uber's competition was obviously taxi companies. When we look at Airbnb, there was nobody that was doing what Airbnb did when they kept the space, but their competition is obviously hotels. So you got to really look, and investors are going to want to know, and you're going to want to know, okay, are there people in this space right now? And if they are, who are they? Who are these companies that you're going to be competing against? Is the space so overcrowded that there's not room for more? If you try to become a real estate agent down here in Tampa, Florida, that's going to be pretty tough, because the reality is there's a lot of real estate agents here. There's not a room for a lot more. So in that situation, you need to really aggressively answer, how do you plan to compete with them? What are you going to do different? Okay, so that's what we want to know in a business plan, is that who are your competition? Is there room for more? And what do you do? What's called a USP, a unique selling proposition, a USP. What makes you unique? What makes you stand out? What makes it where these people really aren't competitors? So let me give you an example. In our world, we have competitors that help build business credit. So example, Truebill. Okay, I know Mike well, but he's been in the space a long time. So they help build business credit. Way different platform or program than we do, but that's a competition in the business credit space. Then we have, let's say, Cabbage. They're not doing too well right now, but they're a competition on the funding space, right? But what we do that's unique is we help business owners improve their fundability, build business credit, and get financing. We do all three. And none of them do that. Cabbage doesn't do all three. They only help you get funding. They don't help with fundability. They don't help build business credit. Truebill's good in the space of building business credit, but they're not good at they don't do fundability. They don't do a lot with financing. So you can see that there's a USP that we have. We do these three things: improve fundability, build business credit, get financing. That's how we compete. We're unique because we do all of those things. But then we're also unique because when we got in the business credit space, nobody was giving away free information like this. It's why I got in this space, because I got crushed in the mortgage business when I owned a mortgage company when the mortgage industry collapsed. And then I went looking for information on business credit. Nobody had it out there. And so I'm like, well, then I'll figure this out. I'll go learn it and I'll teach it so everybody can then know. So we all know how this thing works, right? But that was different at the time. Nobody in the business credit space, there weren't a lot of people here, but they weren't teaching and educating. You had to pay them money to see what was behind the curtain. So those are examples of what we did, competition, and then how we stand out. And it gives you examples, at least, that you can use in your business as well. Now, Kelly Joy says, thank you, brother. I appreciate your hard work you put into these videos. The majority of people do not know about business credit, and I'll bring them to the webpage. I appreciate that. Bismarck Sanchez says, good morning from Redondo Beach. Thanks for coming in. And James says, great info. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So the planning section of the plan. After the research section will come the planning section. This includes the plan for design and development, the plan for operation and management. What is your plan, right? So how are we going to create the company? How are we going to design the product? How are we going to develop the product? You might not have a product, you might have a service, right? How do we create the service? What's the service going to look like, right? So when you look at, for example, Credit Suite, well, our design and development is we're going to design a step-by-step software that will help people accomplish these three things: fundability, business credit building, and financing, right? Then we're going to also bring in a coaching element to help hold people's hands through that actual process. Again, something the industry had not seen. It was kind of either you basically are on your own. For the few companies that were in the space when we got here, we said that's not going to work. We want step-by-step software that almost anybody could do without help. And then we want a level of help that nobody has ever seen, where we hold their hand and walk them through the process, where even without the software, the coaching could help them succeed. Then when you put the two together, it's like insane success. So that was our design and development plan. So the plan for operation and management, what's that going to look like? Who's going to do what? Okay, in my world, I run our marketing and front end. I do sales, I do marketing, I do business development. Okay, my partner, Megan, she does the operations. She deals with attorneys. She deals with accounts, all the stuff. I don't want to do anything with that stuff, right? So she handles our operations. So that is our plan, is that you will help run the back end. I will run the front end, and then we will scale that way. So I'm going to manage the front. You're going to manage the back. And then here's the plan. I think we're going to need these people, which we discussed in the previous section. So that's a plan for operation and management. That's a plan for design and development of product. And that's what you're going to want to do in this planning section. So as I mentioned here, the plan for design development, how the process will play out from start to finish. What is your process, right? So in our world, for example, we have free information. People come into a funnel, they get the sales team member, they buy, then they go to a business advisor and funding team, and they go to their software, It's the steps of the process. And then what steps are you going to take to get this business off the ground? What needs to be done to build, in our world, the software that could actually help do this? So basically, it's a more detailed version of strategy section, really. Strategy is like an overhead 10,000-foot view. And in the planning section, we're actually really saying how we're going to do it, right? So in the actual strategy section, initially, we're saying, look, we're going to make pudding. And then in the planning section, it's like, here's how we're going to make pudding. Here's the ingredients, and here's how we're going to put those ingredients together to get to that result that we disclose that we're going to actually get. So that's how the planning section works. Now, the plan for operational management, again, who will own the business and who will run it from day to day? This can be as simple as stating that you're going to be the sole proprietor and owner. Could be as complicated as laying out a complete partnership plan or board of directors. Do you plan to manage, or will you hire a manager? Will you do the day-to-day? Will you not? I mean, that's what you're talking about here in the operational management plan. When I look at Credit Suite now, we have 7 teams run by 17 leads. That would never be in our business plan. We didn't know that then, right? We, like everybody else, figures this stuff out as we go, and we say, we have a lot of people. Like, how do we manage these people, right? And then we start to read and study and figure out how people do it. And we say, okay, we need these team leads, and how many people should be on a team. And, then we start to figure that out as you go. You don't need to know that at the beginning. You're not going to know that. You're going to figure that out as you go. But you at least have an idea of, it's me, here's my role, and in the short term, I'm going to need this person to fill this role. It's a short-term view of how this is actually going to work, of how the business is going to basically be run. So financials, this is where a lot of new business owners get lost. How do you have financials if there's not a business yet? Okay, this is where you lay out your funding plan. What money do you already have on hand? Okay, where did you get your current funds? Angel investors, crowdfunding, personal savings, something else, somebody else, maybe in your family and family member or friend. How much do you need to get the business off the ground? How will you use the funds? Okay, so first of all, this is a huge mistake I see a lot of business owners make on the planning. How much you need, I would always estimate it be twice as much as you think it is. And I would figure out, based on your best estimate, how long it's going to take for you to execute this plan, and double that as well. I've learned that in business. I've learned that from like year 2 in business, and I still use it today. Whatever we think our cost will be, we double the estimate. Whatever we think our time will be, we double the estimate. And we're never disappointed now. Okay, so just some advice I can give you there. When you're trying to figure out what you need, think about everything you can think of and then double that estimate. Okay, how will you use those funds? What is that money actually going to get used for? And this is what I tell people when they build business credit. Stop saying that you need $30,000 loan to get your business off the ground. That's not true. You need $30,000 to get your business off the ground. Now, where does that $30,000 come from? If $10,000 is office supplies and $10,000 is office equipment and $10,000 is payroll, well, then this is why you want to build business credit, because you can get your $10,000 for office supplies and $10,000 for office equipment from business credit. Now you only need $10,000 in cash. You don't need 30. So really have a detailed list of what you're going to use the funds for, because when it comes time to get the money you need, you can get the money from a bunch of different sources for those funds. So if I need a big piece of equipment, but it's worth $5,000, I don't need to go get a credit line for $5,000. I need equipment financing for $5,000. That's why we want to break down what these funds are going to be used for. So this section also has a complete set of projected financials. It usually goes out for at least 5 years. It is best, if possible, to have an accountant put together your projections. Look, your projections are complete BS. They are complete crap. Nobody has any idea what is really going to happen in a business, okay? And I've had somebody ask me this: why can't I get funding based on my plan, my business plan, and my business plan alone? Okay, and I think it was one of our famous generals in this country it was actually Mike Tyson. Well, actually, famous general and Mike Tyson, that said kind of something like, every plan falls apart when you get hit in the face, right? And Mike was talking about, hey, as a boxer, I can come into a plan of how I'm going to do this fight, but the first time I get hit, the whole plan goes out the window. And there's also been a very famous general that said the same thing, is that, usually a plan can't withstand even the first battle. And I'm misrepresenting the quote completely. But the bottom line is, plans are crap. They're BS. They're never going to work. Your plan is never going to work like you think it will work. It's a guide. You have to be flexible from your guide, okay? And this is the way lenders look at it. Lenders don't care what you say you're going to do. Lenders will judge you based on what you've already done. Very important when it comes to getting money. A lot of people think that their plan should get them money, but your plan will probably not withstand the first battle in business. It's going to fall apart. What matters is what you've done, not what you plan to do. And here's why. Because a good entrepreneur finds the challenges that they had in the past, overcame them to get to where they are, okay? They had their plan fall apart, and they rebuilt a new plan. They built the airplane on the way down, and then they took off, and they figured it out. Okay, so that's what we're looking for, is projections. Just keep in mind, it's hard to project what you're going to do in the future, but that's kind of to be expected. It's probably not going to be what you think it's going to be, but this is a guide so you can start working towards that goal. Now, an appendix is optional, but recommended by most professionals, including the SBA. The appendix has such thing as credit histories, resumes, product pictures, letters of reference. I recommend this because if you're ever going to go to venture capital or angel investors to raise funds, you're going to need this stuff to begin with. So if you get it in part of your business plan now, then it's just going to save you time whenever it comes time to raise funds. You should also have licenses, permits, patents, legal documents, other contracts, any of that kind of stuff is going to be in there. Okay, anything you can include that makes it easier for the lender is a good move. You have the space, so why not use it? So more details is nearly always going to be better than less details. So the presentation, make sure the business plan is professional in both appearance and content. If you're using your plan to apply for a loan, do not just fill out the business plan questions on the loan app. Take the time to put together a well-written and well-designed plan to submit to them. Okay, this is where a business plan writer can come in handy. It's possible to do it yourself, but you want to use all available resources like talk about SBA Score. But look, there's also places like Fiverr, Fiverr.com, Fiverr. You can also go to Upwork. You can go to these other places to hire people that are designers that could then put it together. So when I built a pitch deck, for example, I put all the facts in the pitch deck for the venture capitalists. Then I bring in a graphics person to make it look really good. So because I suck at graphics, right? Like, I'm not artistic. That part of my brain is not turned on. Okay, so again, you don't need to hire somebody to write it, but you could get a designer for fairly cheap on Fiverr and Upwork to actually put together a designer. Okay, reasons for a business plan other than funding. Well, creating a business plan has a lot for your business. We talked about a lot of decisions about growth, understanding your strengths and weaknesses. I think is very important. Okay, the reason that I built businesses in the past, I've had some fail, I've had some successful exits. But the reason I've had massive success with Credit Suite is because of, if I had to boil it down to one thing and one thing only, I'll tell you exactly what the one thing is. I found a yin to my yang. It's that simple. I found somebody that had strengths to offset my weaknesses, and I offset her weaknesses. And when you put us together, we're a powerful force, right? Because Megan, my partner, is very good at a lot of things. And I'm really good at a lot of things. And things I'm really good at, she's not as good at. Things that she's really good at, I'm not as good at. So I found somebody that came in and helped offset my weaknesses with their strengths. And that's what I found, like hockey stick success, whether your growth just like that. It's because of that. So it's important to have a business plan to understand what your weaknesses are as an individual in a company, so you can acknowledge that and bring people into your life to offset those weaknesses in your business. Okay, so we have this all the time, and I'll give you an example. The people that put together these PowerPoints that help me, my content team, they are phenomenal. Our podcast, the content, it's phenomenal. But here's the problem. They're not good at copywriting. Like, they're not good at headlines. They're not good at the title of the webinar. They're not good at images that pull people in. They are phenomenal at providing information that provides education and value. They are not good at salesy stuff that makes people want to click, want to watch. So we can't make them good at that. We've tried. It doesn't work. They have a weakness there. So now we have to bring in a copywriter to then do that part. We've got to bring in somebody with a strength to offset that weakness. So it's just an example of how a business plan can help you figure out these weaknesses and how to overcome them. Now, that can help you convince partners to join your business. A well-researched plan can also help you recognize opportunities well, maybe some you haven't considered already. And maybe there's a market need that you can fill that you didn't see. Look, I see that writing out a business plan opens up a lot of things you didn't think about. When you start going through this practice, you think about all kinds of stuff that you didn't know, like your demographic information. How old is your average customer? Okay, are they male? Are they female? What sources do they come to you from? If you don't think about that stuff, you're not going to think about it. But if you really think about it and map it out, it's way easier to go get those people when you know who you're trying to get and where they are. It's just so easier, right? Even if you're just guessing, it at least makes it easier if you know who you're trying to get, for example, and where you're going to get them. So you got to have a business plan. Lenders want to see one. Potential investors want to see one. It's vital for communication of your plans so you understand them and so the rest of your team understands them as well. It should include vital information, including an introduction, the executive summary, the description, the strategies, and we talked about all three of those during this training. It also needs to include that research section, the market analysis, the analysis of audience, and also the analysis of your competition. It needs to have financial information, current funds, your current budget, sources of funds, projections, what you think you're going to do in money over the next 5 years, and the funds that you know you're going to need and how much you're going to need, and that money that you're going to use, what you're going to use that money for, and an appendix with all those extra things that we talked about as well. Not complicated, guys. It's just a matter of actually getting it done. And I am going to hang out for just a minute here. I'm going to answer any questions you have, but I'm going to try to find this company that does this business plan. It's called Live Plan, actually. Help you business off the ground. I think somebody asked me about where to go to get business plans, and this is it. This is the guy. He was on my podcast, and I really liked what he had. It's ridiculously affordable. It's called Live Plan. They have technology that helps you. I don't get an affiliate commission, guys, but see how cheap it is? You can pay $15 for the year for Live Plan. And I looked at this during my podcast interview with him, and I thought it was really good. I thought the software was really good, way more valuable than the small amount you're going to pay. So if you're looking for technology, if somebody asked me to build a business plan, I told you I'd find it. Here's what I use, here's what I would use is Live Plan. I think that they have a really good solution there. Great info. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Okay, thanks for coming in. And okay, so I'm going to wrap up. So if you liked this, please like and subscribe. Okay, let the social channels know that you got value from this. And we go live Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock on Wednesday Eastern time on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and like LinkedIn. If you want to engage with us, go to our channel, go to our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, or my LinkedIn page. That's where I can see your comments. The reason I say that is, guys, a lot of people love our content, and we stream into groups, we stream into other people's pages, we stream all these places. And some of you are trying to communicate and can't. It's because I see communication from my channels. So if you go to Credit Suite's Facebook page, Credit Suite's YouTube, Credit Suite's Periscope, then you can communicate with me through our live streams. Get to all that at the top right of our page, creditsuite.com. That's where you can like and subscribe to all of our social channels, listen to our podcast on the go. So if you got value, please like. I really appreciate it. I see it in real time, and I appreciate all your likes. That is what tells our social channels that the content's good. I'm not here trying to sell you a bunch of stuff, and that they can then put more people and recommend this content to more people. I appreciate that. Okay, Frank, thank you for tuning in on LinkedIn. Marilyn, thank you from Facebook. I appreciate it. Kill and Joy, and would know their requirements for their trade lines. Okay. So you can message us, info@creditsuite.com, so we can better answer that question. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I will see you next week here on our live streams where we talk about more cool ways to be able to get you the most money for your business at the best terms. Thanks, everybody.